What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Comic Breakdown. In this video, we are jumping into X-Men issue number 19. This is the BROOD versus the Marvel Universe, coming out of the pages of Captain Marvel, which if you have not been reading, I highly recommend that you go check out those videos. But it's not an absolute need to go and read those comics, because this is taking place on two different locations. Throughout the Marvel Universe, we see that the BROOD are making their play. At once there had been peace, with the ruler being BROOD. There was an alliance, but now that alliance is gone. After the X-Men get a distress call from Cyclops' father, the X-Men are now going to investigate. And while they do this investigation, we have Penance and we have Forge that are going on their own little journey. So make sure you guys have subscribed to the channel, make sure that you like this video, and with that being said, let's dive into this breakdown. Alright gang, so as we dive into this issue, we are picking up with Forge, Penance, Prodigy, and Sage. Forge had brought Prodigy and Sage here to ask them a couple of questions to get their expertise. Right now, they stand before a Krakoan gateway. On the other side of this gate, it is supposed to lead them to Nowhere. Now, a while back, Nowhere had descended into a black hole. Nowhere disappeared before Krakoa was ever revealed. So the question now remains, how is there a gateway at Nowhere? This is where Forge lets us know that after he read that Nowhere went through a wormhole in one of his daily X-Force briefings, he reached out to a friend. He reached out to Cable. Cable bounced them back in time so that he could put a gate onto Nowhere. Did this before it took its trip into a black hole. The planter was self-dissolving. He wanted to make sure nobody saw or heard them, trying to avoid any time paradoxes. With the gateway still being active, Forge wants to go investigate and see exactly what is going on. And so the two of them, they put on their helmets and they head through the gateway. As we pick up with our X-Men team, they have made it to the Starjammer ship. They find themselves on an outer rim world, and Jean Grey can sense that the BROOD are everywhere. It's also worth noting that old Laura, the old Wolverine, the one that is in a relationship with Synch, she is here, and she is going by the name of Talon. And so Synch, Talon, and Cyclops, they go to board the ship. As Cyclops lets Firestar know that she is air support, her and Iceman are going to help the locals with the infestation, telling them not to hold back. Because it is the BROOD, they deserve no quarter. Magik and Jean Grey, they go to find BROOD. They know that this shouldn't be happening. He is supposed to be the monarch of his entire species. This is where we pick up in the city and we have Firestar and Iceman. They are making their way through these ranks. They are not holding back. They are just decimating any bug that gets in their way. With Firestar admitting that it truly does feel good to just let out every bit of this, to be able to go to 100% and just melt some bugs, saying that it feels good to cut loose with the X-Men. But she also does bring up the fact that she thinks maybe the word X-Men might be a little bit sexist, that maybe it's time that they should change it. That's when Iceman interjects, and he tells her the same thing he tells everybody when they ask that question. Go ask what Jean Grey thinks. Because Jean, she is an X-Men. There is no question about it. No political correctness, nothing. If Jean Grey says it's X-Men, then it is X-Men. That is where we pick up with Jean and Magik. They find that BROOD is missing. His laboratory is destroyed. So Jean puts out an SOS. She connects to every telepath that she knows and she tells all of them to search, to look for him. Scanning a mind of a mutant who saw him 2 days ago at Port Prometheus, which means he's not on Earth. This is where Magik and Jean, they head to Arakko. Going inside the Starjammer ship, we have Talon, Synch, and Cyclops making their way through the hallways. cutting down any bugs that they may see. Talon is able to smell Cyclops' father. On the other side of this bulkhead, she tells Scott that he needs to steel himself, because what he is about to see is not going to be pretty. As they go into the room, they see Cyclops' father is impregnated with one of these monstrosities, with Synch and Talon both recognizing that this is all a trap, that the Brood left him here hoping that Cyclops and the X-Men would come. This is when Talon goes to do something. Cyclops a little bit terrified, but both Talon and Synch, with their time in the vault, they have had to open people up before. They have had to do surgery before. What she is about to do is try and pull this little monster out of him without killing him. They tell Cyclops that he needs to stand guard, to be prepared for anything to come at them. As they do this surgery, they see the little monster. They get ready to take it out, but they need to be careful, with Synch using Jean Grey's power, being able to stop any blood loss, being able to stop his mind from feeling any pain, also ensuring that he doesn't go into cardiac arrest. As they C-section this little beast out of him, that is when it comes up and it bites Talon. Synch grabbing it using Jean Grey's powers, that is when Talon, she tears this thing into pieces. Now focusing on Cyclops' father. His mind is at peace, but his body right now is a mess. He's going to use telekinesis to piece him together, to hold him together until they can medevac him out of here. Knowing that they are going to have a fight getting out of here, they run as fast as they can. Synch using his powers to hold Cyclops' father together. Cyclops leading the way and blasting any of the monsters that come before him. Calling out for Jean Grey once they are out of the ship. She is too far out of the signal. He is unable to reach her, so they go looking for both Firestar and Iceman. And the two of them have been laying down some hate, but they are barely making a dent. The truth is, there is so many of them that it would take them so long, they would probably wear themselves out before they even began to truly affect the numbers. This is where Cyclops tells Iceman to make a ice fortress around them, with Iceman asking if they can make a stepping disc to get them out of here. He says he could, but Talon also brings up the fact that Synch rapidly ages every time he reaches out for a power not within arm's length. What he was going to say is that he could use magic's powers, but right now, he's still trying to hold Cyclops' father together, trying to keep him alive. But Laura is not wrong. He would still do it in an emergency, but he's worried that Cyclops' father might die. So as they devise what they are going to do next, this is what takes us to nowhere, somewhere in unknown space. Both of them feeling a little bit weird. As they walk through the gateway, there are two bodies lying in front of them. When they turn them over, they see that they are them. At this point, they're trying to figure out what the heck happened. Both these bodies are still alive. Their consciousness, they have been ejected from the bodies. As they go to look outside, as they look into space, they see something that they have never seen before. Penance asking Forge if he has ever seen a place in space that looks like this. Forge lets us know that nobody has. At least, not in their universe. And that will be the end of this issue. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Definitely excited to see where this story is going to take us, but I am more interested in what is going on with Penance and Forge. While it doesn't give us much explanation, it does show us the head that is floating through space. It's gonna be interesting to see where that story's gonna go, because if that gate does go to another universe, what universe is it? But it was definitely nice being able to see the X-Men truly be able to use the full extent of their powers. They don't have to hold back against this invasion, against this infestation. But I think the biggest takeaway from this comic was the debate, because this has been highly debated in popular culture. Should X-Men change to something else? Should it be more inclusive? The idea of using men has been highly debated, and I think this issue really focuses on the fact that Jean Grey has been an X-Men for much longer than almost anybody, and she has never had a problem with it. If you have one of the most powerful mutants to ever exist saying, you know what, X-Men is a fine name, then what need is there to actually change it? And I feel like that at least puts the nail in the coffin. The idea that we're gonna change X-Men to X-People or X-Humans or whatever the case may be. I think this is enough of a point to say that we're not changing it. That it's going to stay X-Men, it has been X-Men, and it will always be X-Men. Which is kind of a breath of fresh air. It's nice to see that there is no political correctness when it comes to the X-Men. That there is no changing that this is the way it is. And so many X-Men fans can now rejoice because there is no concern of that name being changed. At least from my perspective on what I read in this comic. But let me know what you guys think. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your theories. If you would like to get caught up on everything going on with this series, be sure to check out the link in my description as well as the top of this video. It is going to get you completely caught up on everything going on with the X-Men. If you would like to support the channel, you can always do so by joining the channel membership. Much like Patreon having 5 different tiers, from $1 to $50, from loyalty badges to getting free comics every single month. Not only does this help out the channel tremendously, but you are getting tons of perks in the process. Now, if you are unable to do that, do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, like this video, hit that notification bell, and with that being said, until the next breakdown.